Hello one and all, it's my view of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, Chapter 81 versus Bebop. And I just need to ask, did they just kill Pop? Because that was a fairly serious gunshot wound to either her back or... I saw someone's online saying it was her left lung. That's pretty close to the heart. So that's not something you really walk away from all that easily. I mean, that's a serious wound right there. And, this entire chapter is basically her suicide note, so... yeah, they might have actually just killed her. I mean, it seems unlikely. No series really has the gall to actually kill off a main character this far in. The creator of Fairy Tail said he could never kill off any of his characters because they were so beloved by the community and didn't want to face the backlash of it. But I mean, heck, if the creators are actually willing to kill off Pop this far, and I applaud them for it, just simply because they know there's going to be such a huge backlash from the fans who love her. And I'm actually quite curious to see what happens next. I mean, where does Koichi go after losing Pop? Who does he become? Does he become like a dark vigilante? Does he become like Knuckle Duster, obsessed with taking out the one that wronged him? I think it'd be really cool to say. Unlikely, but really cool. On the other hand, like I said, it looked like she was shot in the spine, so maybe she ended up like partially paralyzed. That could be the end of her dance routine, but she could still, keep singing while Koichi, dances her around the stage, carrying her in his arms, or however he ends up doing it. I think that'd be really cute to see. I like that as well. Anyway, so the chapter starts off with her fantasy life, and I have a lot of questions about her fantasy life. I mean, it opens up with her literally saying, crappy. I mean, it literally opens up with her saying this, as she's complaining that she keeps failing every job interview she goes to, and it just kind of keeps getting more and more depressing. Then we see her future life. It's her kids completely disrespecting her. Her daughter saying that she was just some neighborhood celebrity, and bad-mouthing, everything she did as Pop. This is her fantasy life. This is like the ultimate future that she's dreaming of having. It couldn't be any better. I mean, she's in this small apartment. Her kids are rude and mean to one another. She can't find a job in the beginning. How is this her fantasy life? How is this everything she's ever wanted? Very, very strange. Also, just two other things I want to point out in this fantasy. The bathroom over there is for men, women, and quirk-like monsters. I have so many questions what that bathroom door symbol means. Very, very curious. I mean, there's a bar next to the toilet for handicapped people. That's a very weird detail for them to add in. I'm just very curious exactly how the bathroom is designed for those who are otherwise abled, for those who don't quite have a human body. Actually, there's also the cat cafe that the former villains kept talking about opening, so very, very weird about all of that. Just so many questions about this whole scenario, but alright, moving on. Next, I just want to talk about how he said he was going to retire, but then a new All Might hoodie came out so he can keep being a hero for a bit longer. I mean, let's not forget though, there is still one more All Might hoodie out there, the one that he gave to Pop when she was a kid. At a certain point, she's going to have to give it back to him, and then will that start his own new arc as the Crawler? Will that start his, final arc? Because he said, when the hoodie I'm wearing now is worn out, when it's reached its end, then I will stop being the Crawler. I will retire as a hero. But what'll happen when he gets that last hoodie, when she gives it to him? I mean, maybe Pop will die, and then her parents will track him down and end up giving him the final hoodie. He'll realize, oh my god, that's who she was all this time, and then he'll put it on as he, begins his quest for revenge. Or maybe it's just go into a coma and then her parents will give him the hoodie. I could definitely see that happening. I mean, the hoodie is definitely important. It's something that was established, really, really early on. Anyway, so moving on, we get back to the actual fight, Pop versus the Crawler. And we learned something very interesting. She's actually using songs to control the bees, to give them complex instructions. And the song is actually very interesting. It took me a few reads to really fully interpret it, but it's actually very fascinating. Flowers of light blooming in the sky, those summer nights, and all this time I watched you watching them take flight. I think that's actually referring to Makoto. She's the flowers of light. She's the amazing one. She's the impressive one that Pop keeps looking up to, that Pop feels like she can't compare to. And Koichi kept looking at her, kept watching her, as she did all this amazing stuff. I chased and chased, always spurned. I pined and pined as a passion burned. What I've become, what are my desires, leaping higher and higher. To me, it's saying, she was always chasing after the Crawler. She always wanted to be with him, to be close to him, but, she couldn't compare it to Makoto, and now she's become something unhuman. She's become a monster. It's because of her desires, because she wants to be with him, that she's become like this. Yes, you'll come up short when you reach out. I'm a fleeting dream erased by doubt. Shout all you like, I won't last. Memories of you stuck in the past. So the song definitely seems to be about their relationship, about how she always wanted him, how she's been chasing after him all this time. I mean, literally her whole reason for teaming up with him was because she's been in love with him ever since he rescued her, ever since he gave her his hoodie. And now she's out of his reach. She's essentially become beyond saving. She knows that even though he doesn't love her, he'll still try to rescue her. He'll still try to reach out to her, but she won't let that happen. Even if he reaches out, she won't take his hand because she knows it isn't a hand of love. She knows that she'll never have him. And it really is quite depressing as, all her friends are listening to the song. They have to admit, okay, it's a real bop. Jesus freaking Christ. Even this song that she's written as she's become a murderous lunatic is a good song with a good bop. But those who are really close to her realize it's a sad and lonely song. It's a pathetic and desperate song. Essentially, it's a suicide note. It's her saying that she can't be saved. It's her saying goodbye to all of them, and especially to Koyuchi. And then she draws all the bees to her to blow herself up, and Endeavor seems particularly annoyed by this, annoyed that he can't kill her himself, because her ultimate goal here and now, the goal that has been twisted and corrupted inside of her by the queen bee, is for her to never be forgotten, for Koyuchi to remember her every time he sees the sunset, for him to remember the girl he couldn't save. That's her final dream, that's her final hope, to be remembered. Thankfully though, the crawler has one last trick up his sleeve, the old man's grappling hook, and I must admit I have some issues with a person being able to throw a grappling hook as they're falling out of the sky. I feel like there'd be some issues with the logistics of that, but hey, anime logic, let's say it worked. And after a bit of practice in the warehouse, he's able to use it to swing over to Pop to catch his breath, and I wouldn't quite say he's flying here. He's definitely coming close. It seems like he's holding his breath, kind of like how Gran Torino flies, but it seems more like he's airwalking than flying, like he's managing to step on the air itself to propel himself forward, but it's not the same as flying. In his mother's flashback way back when, as a baby, he was able to float freely in the air. Now, it doesn't seem like he's capable of that. I'm not sure if it's because his quirk is weakened, it's because he didn't practice it, or, kids are a lot lighter than adults are, so maybe he just can't do it with his added weight, but maybe if he keeps practicing, he'll be able to do it eventually. Anyway, then he manages to fly and reach out to Pop to grab her hand, and she breaks free for just a second. She sees him, she starts crying, she reaches out for him, Koyuchi. But just as the song says, yes, you'll come up short when you reach out, I'm a fleeting dream erased by doubt. She is shot in the back by Rock and will likely fall to the ground. I mean, Koichi might catch her, but even then, I feel like he's a little bit too late to really save her. I mean, I'm assuming there are medical heroes around because it's, a fight against a terrorist with bomb bees. I'm assuming they had to bring doctors along with them to take care of any heroes or civilians who got injured, so maybe she'll be okay, but very, very unlikely. I mean, you also can't forget about the fact that her eye is bleeding a whole lot. And back when it was Knuckle Duster's daughter, that was a sign that the host was falling apart, unable to deal with the stress of this incredibly powerful quirk. So there's that stress, plus being shot, plus possibly falling to the ground. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of hopes for her coming out of this fight unscathed. At the very least, severe damage, a long stay in the hospital. Like I said, this might end up with her, in a coma, and Koichi, going out for revenge after this. Possible. Also, I gotta love, Rock's final line, because I'm your biggest fan, and I haven't given up in her dream yet. So, yeah, because he's her biggest fan, he wants her to die in front of Rock, so he'll always remember her. That is some twisted logic right there. That is some twisted logic. So what happens next? I mean, Koichi obviously has to, get her to a medic as quickly as possible, but will Rock let that happen? I mean, if it ends up being a fight between Crawler and Rock, I don't have a lot of faith in Rock. I mean, maybe Knuckle Duster could show up, because, Rock is kind of all his fault. That's, the villain that is his quirk that has his powers. I feel like, he needs to settle things with him. I mean, we don't know exactly what kind of state he's in after his last fight with Rock, ended with like a building falling on him, so maybe he just isn't physically capable of doing it anymore, or maybe he can't do the fights and guarantee his own survival. I mean, he's the last, parent his child has. He can't leave her alone in this world after essentially letting her run away and get brainwashed by the queen bee, so maybe that's it. Maybe he's afraid of dying, leaving his daughter all alone in this world. And we still have Endeavor, who's waiting for his cooldown to end to put the villains down. Very important, he said villains, plural. He's still seeing Koyuchi the Crawler as a villain, which could be very concerning, could be a big issue, but, Rock is running around with a gun, so... Actually, Rock is technically a registered hero, so his actions might be legally justified, so there might not be anything Endeavor could do. Endeavor could actually see him as the good guy who stopped the mad villain. I don't actually know the laws or the technicalities when it comes to heroes killing people. I mean, Endeavor killed that Nomu in the main series when he said that he was too much of a threat to be captured alive, but All Might didn't kill All For One when they fought, and All For One wasn't given the death penalty any time after that, so I'm very curious about how that actually works. I mean, there are definitely some truly powerful villains in this world who need to be, taken out because their quirks are just too strong, because they can't be detained. Does Pop fall into that category? I guess technically she does, because she controls the bees from her mind, so therefore there's no real way to stop or restrain her unless, I don't know, maybe like they seal up her eye or something. Though Endeavor doesn't actually know that's how the quirk works, so as far as he can tell, maybe Rock was in the right state of mind to do this. Maybe Endeavor will actually refuse to let Pop get any medical aid because he views her as a villain, he views her as a monster here. That would definitely be a very dark turn for this series to take. Oh yeah, and we still have the van on its way, full of whatever it is that Koichi and his team thought they need to stop Pop. I mean, maybe they also have some stuff in there to stop Rock, because after, saving his daughter, stopping Rock, the person who stole his quirk, was his, second big endeavor, second big motivation. At the very least, they probably have the recordings Knuckle Duster made that's incapacitated Rock. That could definitely be useful in stopping him, assuming Rock hasn't figured out a way around it yet. Anyway, so very dark chapter, given that the whole thing was basically Pop's suicide note. But let me think all this down below. Is Pop alive? Is she dead? Is she paralyzed? Is she going to be in a coma? How is Koichi going to react to this? Is he going to fight Rock here and now? Is he going to fight him down the road? Is Rock going to essentially be considered justified in his actions because she was a villain and he is a licensed hero? How is Endeavor going to react to all of this? I mean, what's in the van? It's still on its way. It clearly has to have some sort of purpose here. And is Knuckle Duster going to show up to lend a helping hand? How about Aizawa? I mean, good old Eraserhead is friends with the Crawler, so I can certainly see him offering a hand here. And this was, an all points bulletin, all the local heroes to come give a hand. They brought in Compass Kids, someone who clearly does not get the respect he deserves. So I can certainly see Aizawa hearing about this and wanting to join in, wanting to lend a helping hand, and being able to stop Rock long enough for Koichi to land the finishing blow on him. That'd definitely be cool to see, but let me think all this down below. Be sure to like and subscribe this video. And until then,
peace!